At the concert, the husband and his lover were caught on the big screen passionately waving together. The host asked the lover how many people had come. She smiled sweetly and held up 2 fingers. Then, she playfully draped her arm around her husband's shoulder and nestled into his crook. The camera suddenly cut to my daughter and me. I said, "Let's request a wedding march for them, to bless this newlywed couple." My daughter replied, "Uncle MC, could you play a funeral march instead? My dad just passed away." On her birthday, my daughter asked if she could go to a concert with me and her dad as a family. My husband declined, citing his busy schedule at work early in the month, but promised to buy her the best gift. My daughter, ever the sweetheart, thoughtfully massaged his temples to help him unwind. Soon, on her birthday, I dressed my daughter up beautifully. I took a photo and sent it to my husband Jackson. He replied quickly, saying how adorable she looked and how much he regretted not being able to see her in person. I relayed my husband's words to my daughter, bending slightly forward. For a moment, I wasn't paying attention to the path ahead and bumped into a woman. I apologized repeatedly, yet all I got in return was a dismissive glare. She slapped her designer handbag in disgust. "Can't you watch where you're walking? If you damage my bag, you won't be able to afford to pay for it." Her daughter spoke up bluntly, "Ma'am, my mom already apologized. You don't have to be so harsh. If your bag is damaged, we can compensate you." The woman lowered her head and gave her daughter a scowl. When adults are talking, children should keep quiet. Then she turned to me, sizing me up. "Besides, can your family even afford to pay for this? This is a limited edition piece, the kind worth collecting, you understand? With the kind of junk you're carrying, you couldn't buy 10 of these for the price of one. Today is a good day, and I didn't want to nitpick with this woman." But her words were too harsh. I smiled politely, "That's right. I'd rather buy 10 genuine ones than one fake one." The woman caught my sarcasm about her bag being fake and flew into a rage. "What did you say? This can't possibly be fake. My husband is a CEO, how could it be fake? It's your narrow-mindedness." She was furious, her voice booming. It drew the attention of many concertgoers, and some curious onlookers stopped to watch the commotion. Her daughter stepped forward. "Ma'am, your handbag is indeed a fake." I nodded and added to my daughter, "What are you proud of? Your husband being the CEO? It's not like you're the CEO." After the onlookers roughly understood what had happened, they started chiming in. "Stop arguing. She apologized, so let's just drop it. Why make such a fuss? That bag really does look fake. I bought a knockoff just like it before and never had the nerve to carry it out in public." "Oh, I get it, just a spoiled housewife." The woman fumed. Not a single person was on her side. She raised an eyebrow coldly. "You lot are just jealous I have such a great husband. Fine, I'm not short on cash anyway, can't be bothered to argue with you. Rich folks have to make room for the poor, after all." My daughter looked at me innocently. "Mom, does that mean we should just let her go first? That lady made a pretty good point. Maybe we should just let it go." With that, she tugged me toward the ticket gate. "You!" The woman muttered angrily, her teeth gnashing as she pointed at my daughter and me walking away. Just then, a tall man approached her calmly, wrapped his arm around her waist, and soothed her softly. "What's wrong? Why so angry?" Her demeanor softened instantly as she nestled into his embrace, pointing at me and our daughter with a pout. "Honey, that shrew and her daughter are picking on me." I couldn't help but turn around, eager to see what kind of CEO this was. The next second, I froze in place. Wasn't that Jackson, my husband, who was so busy with his career he couldn't even make it to our daughter's birthday? Jackson followed the woman's pointing finger and saw me too. His body stiffened slightly for a moment, but he didn't react much. My daughter stopped in her tracks as I pulled her back, turning to face me. The moment she saw her dad approaching, her eyes lit up. She stretched out her little arms and waved energetically. "Daddy, we're right here." Only after she spoke did she notice the woman in Jackson's arms. Instantly, she pulled her hand back, her smile fading from her face. The girl's loud voice caught the attention of the person in Jackson's arms. He turned his head, scanning the room. "Where's her dad? I'd love to see what these two deadbeat husbands look like." Jackson's expression darkened for a moment, and he frowned. "Shut up." The woman gasped, looking at Jackson with hurt eyes but dared not say a word. I lowered my gaze to my daughter. To have her witness such a terrible thing unfold, I couldn't bear to think what impact it might have on her innocent world. I asked her, "Do you want to go talk to Daddy?" My daughter shook her head, clinging to my arm. "No, stinky Daddy." Then she grabbed my hand, pulling me inside. The woman nestled in Jackson's arms watched us leave, clearly unwilling to let it go. "Now that her husband's here, what's there to be afraid of?" She broke free from Jackson's embrace, took 2 steps in one stride to our backs, and called out loudly. "Hey, you guys just called my bag fake. Now that my husband's here, let's see what you have to say." Jackson grabbed the woman and growled under his breath, "Didn't I tell you to shut up?" She pointed at me, pouted, and snuggled into Jackson's arms, continuing to act coy. "But honey, they were picking on me, how could I keep quiet?" My daughter refused to turn around, standing still with her back to Jackson. I, however, turned without hesitation, facing the 2 lovebirds before me. Jackson raised an eyebrow, waiting for me to speak. I clapped my hands twice casually, locking eyes with Jackson as I said, "You two are a perfect match, a woman with a fake bag and a fake husband. A family of fakes." The woman's face instantly drained of color. Moments ago, she'd been limp and boneless in Jackson's arms, but now she suddenly straightened up. "It truly is a medical miracle," she whispered, "don't talk nonsense." I cut her off, watching her with keen interest. "Am I talking nonsense? Jackson, tell me, is this husband of yours fake?" Her face flushed crimson. How could she have known this man actually knew Jackson? She tugged at Jackson's sleeve and whispered urgently, "Never mind, honey. Let's get out of here." At that moment, the daughter finally turned around and looked up at Jackson. "Uncle, please keep this lady in check. Tell her to stop bothering me and Mom." Jackson was stunned by the uncle and stood blinking, doubting his ears. "Alice, who are you calling uncle?" "I'm your dad." His daughter turned her head. "Mom and I are going to a concert." "Bye, uncle." I let out a cold laugh, sizing up the 2 people frozen in place before following my daughter out. The moment Jackson spoke, the woman instantly realized I was the one she'd cheated on. She sprang out of Jackson's arms, head bowed, trembling with fear. "Honey, let's go inside first." Not long after sitting down, I learned everything about this woman and Jackson. Her name is Crystal, and she's been around Jackson frequently since I got pregnant. 8 years have passed. I'd been so busy raising my daughter and building my career that I never noticed my husband had been seeing another woman. After sitting down, my daughter rested her head against my chest, wrapping her arms around my waist. "Mommy, are you really sad?" I gently stroked her head, soothing her softly. If Mom loved him with all her heart, she'd be heartbroken. But Mom also has her career and there's just not much energy left to give him. We Alice are the ones who suffer the most, right? My daughter gave a slight nod, and my heart nearly broke. Today is her birthday, meant to be a day filled with joy. Yet Jackson has turned it into a complete mess. Before her birthday, she came to us brimming with excitement, asking us to accompany her to the concert. It was such a simple wish. Yet in our busy family, it was one of the rare opportunities for us to gather together. Even so, Jackson would rather bring another woman along than grant his daughter's wish. He simply didn't care about her at all. Seeing his sensible daughter endure such indifference made me furious. The music suddenly blared, and my daughter sprang to her feet. "It's okay, Mom. We're going to have a great time now." I smiled and agreed, pushing all my worries aside to fully enjoy her birthday with her. Soon we were both waving our light sticks, swaying to the beat together. Jackson, sitting not far away, wasn't nearly as relaxed as we were. Whether it was just my imagination or not, he kept glancing our way, sometimes deliberately, sometimes not. Even when Crystal kept flirting with him, he paid her no mind. My daughter's favorite keyboardist took the stage, and she nearly jumped out of her skin with excitement, waving her light stick nonstop. She shouted right into my ear, "Mom, look. That guy is so handsome." My eyesight isn't great, so I just made out a blurry figure and nodded. "Yeah, he is pretty handsome." Crystal, like her daughter, was completely immersed in the joy of the concert, having completely forgotten about the earlier incident. So when it came time for the audience participation segment where fans could request songs, she raised her hand high, afraid she might be too late. Crystal was lucky enough that her face soon appeared on the big screen. She gasped and snatched the microphone from the staff member. Chattering away, she gushed about how much she loved the band. The host waited awkwardly for her to finish before interjecting, "Ma'am, how many people are in your group?" Crystal smiled sweetly and held up 2 fingers. She then playfully hooked her arm around Jackson's and nestled her head into his shoulder. Jackson raised an eyebrow but made no move to stop her. "We came together," the host instantly understood. "How sweet. So, what song would this lady like to request?" Crystal glanced at Jackson and planted a smacking kiss on his lips. "Play something sweet, it's my anniversary with my husband." The crowd erupted in cheers, chanting, "Kiss him." Jackson shifted his gaze to us, only to find we weren't reacting much. He whispered a sharp "cut it out" to Crystal. She gave an awkward smile, "My husband's shy." The host assured them it was fine and was about to cue the band for a sweet little song. The most popular keyboard player spoke up, "Let the little girl next to her and her mom request a couple of songs too." I couldn't make out the faces, but the voice sounded familiar. Before I could think further, the camera cut to my daughter, who was excitedly holding the microphone. I looked down at the microphone in my daughter's hand and said, "Play them a wedding march to bless this newlywed couple." My daughter pretended to be grief-stricken and replied, "Uncle MC, could you play a funeral march instead? My dad just passed away." The crowd sighed in sympathy for the daughter. Only those of us in the know harbored ulterior motives. Crystal's excitement plummeted to rock bottom, wishing she could vanish into thin air. Jackson shot to his feet, his face drained of color. The host, quick-eyed, immediately caught Jackson's voice and interjected, "Why is the groom so worked up? The young lady was just joking. We don't play that song, so don't worry." The term groom made Jackson realize his role, and he focused his gaze on me before sitting down. The MC comforted the little girl, "Sweetheart, we're all so sorry your dad passed away. We can't play funeral music, but would you like us to play a slower song for you instead?" Seeing her dad get the short end of the stick, the girl let out a sigh too. She picked up the microphone and said, "No thanks, Uncle. Just play the happiest song, we can't stay sad forever, can we?" The host froze, too stunned to respond. The keyboardist spoke again, "Well, some people are better off dead, sparing others the trouble of dealing with them while they're alive. Here's the happiest song I know, dedicated to you and your mother." The audience gasped in horror. The host's jaw dropped, utterly speechless. Only my daughter held the microphone and smiled sweetly, "Handsome guy is right, thank you handsome guy." She even grabbed my arm and waved it wildly. This was our family's business to begin with. If that keyboard player had gotten involved, he'd probably have gotten scolded. I was trying to figure out how to post a clarification that would protect both my daughter and this kind keyboard warrior, while also getting Jackson to stop fidgeting. By the time I snapped back to reality, Jackson had already brought Crystal over to sit beside me. I have no idea what trick he pulled to switch seats. But why is he hovering around again now? My daughter frowned, looking at Jackson with disdain. I switched seats with her, shielding her from the irritating presence. "Debbie, you go ahead. I'll talk with Alice." He still wore that self-righteous look, as if nothing had happened. Yet it was impossible to ignore that his other hand was still intertwined with another woman's. "Who the hell do you think you are? My daughter doesn't talk to strangers." Jackson lowered his voice, his teeth gritted as he whispered in my ear, "What stranger?" "I'm her father." I let out a startled "oh." Excuse me, are you human or ghost? The child's real father is already dead, didn't you hear the child just say so himself? Jackson stared wide-eyed. Debbie, is this how you talk? Look what you've turned our child into. No respect for parents whatsoever, utterly ill-mannered. The veins in Jackson's neck throbbed, betraying his fury. Crystal kept soothing him, whispering softly. Honey, don't get upset. It's normal for her to struggle with teaching the child, she doesn't know how either. Don't worry, once our baby is born, I'll make sure to teach him properly. As she spoke, she placed Jackson's hand on her small belly. It made me genuinely sick. I couldn't bear to watch them and looked away. My daughter respects her mom very much. It's just that some people aren't worth respecting. Why should she put up with them? My daughter nodded, leaning her head around my side to add, I'm my mom's daughter. I've got the guts not to respect you. Jackson clenched his fists. You got that sharp tongue from your mother. Just wait till your brother's born, we'll see if you're still so tough. I see, so Crystal's pregnant. Who knows what she did to find out it's a boy? Jackson might not be traditional, but his older relatives are determined to make him have a son. When Alice was born, she was resented for quite some time. They insisted we send her to live with her grandparents so they could have a son of their own. Persuaded by his parents, Jackson began to entertain the same idea. I refused to budge, and that's how Alice stayed by my side. Seeing through their family's inherent preference for sons over daughters, I decided against having more children. My daughter deserves my complete and utter love. As for carrying on the family line, I don't think the Gauss are anything special anyway, so it's unnecessary. What's Jackson thinking, that having a son will let him walk all over people? What an idiot. His parents must be pretty upset too, having a son who's such a moron. I sneered at Jackson, her brother? She doesn't have a brother. And even if she did, she'd stand her ground. Don't poison my daughter with your backward ideas. Jackson was about to say something else when he was interrupted by a burst of music. In the pause, he managed to say, let's talk about this later. I need to have a proper conversation with you. At some point, Jackson's attitude toward me had done a complete 180. Every day in college, a love letter would land in my hands, dazzling me. Yet on the very day I gave birth, he hooked up with another woman. Looking back now, that tear that fell outside the hospital room, was it for the safe delivery of mother and child, or for winning his beauty? How ironic. This concert left everyone feeling uneasy. I wanted to make it up to my daughter, so when she asked for the keyboardist's autograph, I agreed without hesitation. I pulled out my phone and pulled some strings to get us backstage access. After the show, I pulled my daughter backstage to meet the keyboardist she'd been so eager to see. As we got closer, I stared in surprise. It was Dick, my high school classmate who'd gone abroad. He'd recognized me first, grinning at me. You recognized me? Still want my autograph? The daughter jumped up excitedly, of course I want it. Get me your autograph, handsome. Dick crouched down and gave her a kiss on the nose. Is your dad really dead? The daughter wrinkled her nose. It's just like he's dead. Dick turned his gaze to me, then I can treat him as dead, right? My daughter nodded. I smiled helplessly. After years apart, Dick suggested we have dinner together. My daughter tugged at my sleeve, signaling that I absolutely had to agree. I had no reason to refuse, and I also wanted to ask him if he needed any help with what he'd said at the concert. My daughter had already taken Dick's hand without hesitation, her gaze fixed on him the whole time. She looked just like a devoted believer. I couldn't help but laugh, my daughter was such a starstruck fan. The three of us chatted and laughed as we headed out, only to run into Jackson and Crystal, who hadn't left yet. They seemed to be waiting for us. But when Jackson saw his daughter affectionately holding Dick's hand with one arm and mine with the other, he instantly looked shocked and flustered. Debbie, you better explain who he is. My daughter beat me to the punch, this is my new dad. What do you think, Uncle? Isn't he way better looking than you? Jackson's face turned green with rage. His eyes blazed as he glared at me. Debbie, I never imagined you'd sink so low, cheating on me with another man. Dick looked utterly stunned. He bent down and asked his daughter, but your dad is dead, right? Is this man your mom found to be your stepfather? His tone carried a hint of sarcasm. My daughter shook her head. No way. That uncle is just some stranger. The lady next to him with the fake bag, that's his wife. She's got nothing to do with my mom. Handsome guy, don't get the wrong idea. I have no idea where she picked up all this stuff, but she said it in a way that made me laugh. Jackson stormed over, furious, trying to snatch his daughter from Dick's arms, but Dick blocked him. Alice, what are you doing? You won't even acknowledge your own father? His daughter pouted. You're not my dad. You're the dad of the baby brother in Auntie's tummy. Crystal jumped up the moment she heard this, clutching Jackson's arm tightly. Honey, don't bother with them. Girls are just ungrateful. Once our son is born, he'll be 1,000 times better behaved than her. They'll regret it then. He eyed his daughter up and down, grinning unkindly. Looking so shabby, no wonder you're so ill-mannered. No sooner had the words left his mouth than Jackson's hand came down hard across her face. I wasn't about to back down. I let go of my daughter's hand and slapped Jackson across the face. Who do you think you are, talking about my daughter like that? I don't care who you hired, but if you dare speak to my daughter like that, you'll get the same treatment. My voice and Jackson's hit the air at the same time. Everyone present was stunned. Crystal covered her face, tears streaming down her cheeks, looking utterly pitiful. Husband, how could you hit me? I'm carrying your child. Does he really mean less to you than this daughter? Jackson watched Crystal cry with a cold stare, showing no intention of comforting her. Jackson did want a son. But Crystal forgot that my daughter carries half of Jackson's blood. How could he tolerate some low-life outsider judging his daughter? Especially in such a vile way. Jackson spat out a low growl. If you want to stick around, get lost. Crystal blinked, sniffling as she reluctantly backed away. Only then did Jackson turn his attention to me, the one who'd slapped him across the face. Debbie, you've gotten bold, haven't you? Daring to hit me? I scoffed coldly. If I want to hit you, I'll hit you. Does that require any special skill? Then I turned to instruct Dick. If we start fighting, you're in charge of covering Alice's eyes. My daughter promptly covered her own eyes and nudged Dick forward. I can cover my own eyes, let the handsome guy go help mommy. Jackson's face twitched as he whispered to his daughter, Alice, is that really how you see your dad? Daughter pulled her hand away and retorted to Jackson, Dad, you always seem to love Mom and me so much in my heart, but now it all seems like a lie. If you could deceive me, how could I ever know the real you? Jackson closed his eyes and took a deep breath, forcing his anger down. Alice, Daddy wants to give you a little brother, but your mommy doesn't want to. Don't you like the idea either? He'd be so cute and listen to everything you say. He'd protect you. My daughter chuckled, so that's what my little brother does? Isn't that just being a bodyguard? I've got money, I'll hire you a whole team. Jackson's face darkened as he turned to me, you're picking up all the wrong habits from your mom. I cut off their pointless chatter and cut straight to the chase, enough. You're wasting our dinner time. Just ask the lawyer about the divorce. Jackson snorted coldly and nodded. Fine. Don't regret this. He shot Dick a vicious glare before turning to wrap his arm around Crystal and get into the car. After Jackson left, his daughter showed signs of sadness for the first time. Dick gently held her in his arms and kept comforting her. The little girl's eyes were red from holding back tears, yet she still didn't cry. Instead, she took my hand and comforted me, Mommy, don't be sad. Alice will always be with you. We don't need him anymore. We don't need Daddy. At the mention of the word Daddy, my daughter couldn't hold back her tears any longer. For Jackson and me, it might just be the end of a relationship. But for our daughter, it felt like the sky had fallen. Though it wasn't my fault, I still felt like I owed her something. I gently wiped away her tears and held her close, comforting her for a long time. Dick felt downcast too, cautiously asking, "If Alice doesn't cry, can she come play at Big Brother's house from now on? Big Brother will teach you to play the piano." His daughter instantly stopped her tears and timidly asked, "Really?" Only after Dick made a promise with her did she finally calm down. The man blinked at me, as if seeking approval. I laughed, then quickly realized something was off. "You've got the family roles mixed up, sweetie. I'm the mom, so he should be the uncle, not the brother." Dick and his daughter both refused, one saying her brother looked younger, the other insisting the handsome one was her brother. They reached a consensus. 2-1, I had no say. The three of us eating together made up for some of the unpleasantness of her birthday. I never expected to wake up the next morning and find Dick trending on social media for being criticized. Sure enough, it was about yesterday's concert incident. The comments accused him of being heartless, making flippant remarks even after someone died. They also said he lacks the awareness expected of a public figure, speaking without restraint and setting a bad example for young fans. My daughter's social media account was flooded with hateful comments from haters after she posted a signed photo from Dick. I called Dick to ask if he needed me to come out and clarify the situation. A man chuckled softly on the other end of the line, "Don't worry, they can't hurt me even if they curse me. Besides, wasn't I right?" Since Dick insisted, I didn't press the matter further. Besides company matters, I also hired a lawyer to draft the divorce agreement. All that's left is to sever ties with Jackson once and for all. Jackson must have had second thoughts. After receiving the agreement, he didn't come looking for me. Instead, he pulled some strings to get Dick removed from the stage. The band was implicated in Dick's situation during the next 3 consecutive concerts. Though his family is quite prominent, resolving these issues is merely a matter of time. But this is his career after all. Since my personal circumstances caused him losses, I should take responsibility. I was just about to call him and have him handed over to me when my daughter threw herself into my arms. "Mommy, let's watch the handsome guy's livestream together." Thank goodness I didn't call him, otherwise I'd have interrupted his livestream and added to my guilt. The man in the picture is neatly dressed and looks genuinely younger than his age. Sitting upright at the keyboard, he flips his hair back while answering fan questions. It reminds me of back in high school. He was just like this then. While others would be nervous as hell on stage, he could play the piano and still look around for me. He said he'd tell me the song's name during the performance. So he stared at me and mouthed it. But I didn't recognize it. When I asked him later, he wouldn't say again. I smiled. The man in the lens smiled too. The performance that left the deepest impression? That must have been back in high school. I'd been preparing for ages to confess to the girl I liked. After finally spotting her in the audience, I told her I'd played My True Love just for her. She actually said she hadn't heard it clearly. It really got me upset. I thought she was just making excuses to reject me. I was preparing to go abroad at the time and didn't know if I'd ever return. I didn't want to hold her back, so I let it go. A thunderclap echoed in my mind. Buried memories surged back. That day, her lip-syncing was indeed to My True Love. Before I could recover from the shock, Dick spoke again, about the concert? There's nothing to explain. I don't think I did anything wrong. Things are a bit more complicated than everyone thinks, but it involves privacy and I don't want to discuss it further. You can curse me all you want, but don't disrupt the lives of this little girl and her mother. Only after saying this did he begin to play the piano. My daughter was completely captivated. Yet my heart remained unsettled for a long time. I called Jackson. The moment I picked up, Jackson's sarcastic voice came through. "What? Just a few cancelled shows and you're already losing your cool? Talk about deep affection." I couldn't be bothered with his snide remarks. "I'm telling you to stop this right now. Don't you know exactly how this will end? So what? I advise you not to make a big deal out of this. It won't do either of us any good." I know exactly what Jackson is thinking. He probably figures I won't spill the beans because of the company's interests. If this blows up, both families' businesses will suffer. But I have 1,000 ways to save the company. As for the Jackson family's mess, I have no idea if he's capable of handling it. After hanging up, I immediately had my lawyer issue a public statement. We revealed the truth about that concert and sued the marketing account that used my daughter's photos to defame her and Dick. As for my personal social media platform, I posted the full account of Jackson's cheating scandal. I let netizens decide for themselves who was at fault. In an instant, the tide turned. Netizens flooded my social media comments section to lambaste Jackson. I think Dick's got a point. Honestly, people like that are better off dead. What a disgusting piece of trash, skipping his daughter's birthday to watch a karaoke show with his mistress. He's so brazen, he must be waiting for karma to catch up. Meanwhile, the company's stock was also falling. I kept my cool and handled things methodically, so the company didn't suffer much loss. As for Jackson, he was in a real mess. Caught completely off guard, he was running around like a headless chicken, not knowing what to do. Before I could even smile, Jackson's mom called. "Hey, Debbie, delete those things you posted." That commanding tone was just plain annoying. "No way." The old woman's voice carried anger. "You good-for-nothing thing. You can't even produce a son yourself, yet you can't stand seeing others with a baby on the way, can you? Now that my family has a grandson, you don't cherish it, and worse, you're inciting others to curse my son. You venomous woman." I sneered coldly. "Yes, I'm a venomous woman. How wonderful to be venomous. I can curse anyone who displeases me, unlike you, old woman, who knelt before the gows for over a decade and only dared to curse me. By the way, sell off anything valuable you have quickly. Otherwise, your son's debts will be impossible to cover." As I expected, without the Fong family's backing, Jackson's company ran into financial trouble. Regarding the divorce, I had evidence of his infidelity, so he walked away with nothing. The Gao family has fallen completely. I never intended for my daughter to know about this. But she had grown up, developing a keener awareness of reality. Piecing together scattered online rumors, she concluded Jackson had gone bankrupt. That night, she pleaded with me to sleep together. Clinging tightly to me in bed, her voice muffled, she asked, "Mommy, does Daddy have no money anymore?" I paused for a moment, then truthfully recounted Jackson's situation to her in detail. She sounded a bit troubled. "Mom, I know I shouldn't feel sorry for Dad, but I just can't help it. If Dad runs out of money, will he have a really hard time? I always remember how happy I used to be when I was with Mom and Dad, but now, it feels like I don't have a dad anymore." The little one shed a single tear. Truthfully, I felt comforted. My daughter has her own thoughts and her own compassion. Such a daughter is already my pride. If you want to see him, you can anytime. But you must understand that your father ended up like this because he made his own mistakes. Of course you feel sympathy for him as his daughter. If there's anything you want to do or need Mom's help with, you can always come to me, okay? My daughter nodded, snuggled up against me, and then fell asleep. I had intended to use this opportunity to give her a good talking to. But I know full well that when children want to share their troubles, they don't want lectures, they want praise and support. Many things she has to experience for herself. What good would it do for me to say more? But soon enough, the daughter discovered her father's true colors. Because Jackson showed up at the door. He looked much more haggard, with a scruffy beard, and an overall gloomy aura. He saw me, rushed over, and was almost in tears. "Debbie, I know it's too late for me to say anything now, but I just had to see you." He looked at his daughter, ran to her, and embraced her. "Alice, Daddy was wrong. Daddy missed you so much." I shot him a look. "If you're here to see Alice, you could at least make an effort to smell presentable. That reek of smoke isn't good for her." Jackson looked remorseful, his eyes reddening. "Debbie, it wasn't until after the divorce that I realized I couldn't live without you too. Back then, I was blinded by all the distractions outside. Now that I'm in this situation, I finally understand those people never truly cared about me. Only you and Alice are my real family. Debbie, I'm not asking you to change your mind and forgive me. I just want you to treat me like a friend. Even as friends, if I were in trouble, you'd help me out, right? I let out a cold laugh. Jackson finally revealed why he'd come here. You're here to borrow money, aren't you? You didn't even need to use seeing Alice as an excuse. You could have just come straight out and asked. Jackson instantly lit up, jumping to his feet and grabbing my shoulders excitedly. Debbie, so you're willing to lend me money? I chuckled. No way. Jackson's smile vanished instantly. Just as I thought. I knew you were still angry. You're such a kind person, yet now you refuse to help me. I know exactly why. It's just because of that woman and child, isn't it? Don't worry, I've already gotten rid of that woman. I don't care whether the child in her belly is a boy or a girl, I don't want it. I only want you and Alice. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. That's your child. Jackson's voice rose with passion, his expression agitated. So what? They destroyed my family, tore me away from you all, and ruined me financially. The daughter stood nearby, hearing every word clearly. She stepped forward, tilting her head up to ask Jackson, didn't you desperately want a son? Why did you abandon him so easily? Jackson looked down at her, this time without crouching. He wasn't meant to have it. Her body trembled slightly, and she lowered her head. Soon she regained her composure. I get it now. Just because things haven't gone your way and you've made mistakes, you can blame others. No matter how much you've shown you love them before, you can abandon them over the slightest thing. Then like this, I'm afraid one day you'll callously abandon us because Mom and I got in your way. Thank goodness Mom made the right decision. Dad, you can leave. I'll stop feeling sorry for you. Jackson froze. The next moment, she buried her head, her voice choked with emotion. No, Alice, he's not like you. You and your mother are the ones I love. I would never abandon you. Her daughter replied calmly, that's not true. You've already abandoned us once. With that, the girl slipped on her slippers and walked upstairs. Jackson tried to run after them, but I stopped him. He clutched my hand, tears falling to the ground, his voice growing hoarse. Honey, tell Alice that Daddy isn't like that. I just didn't realize how important you both are to me. I love you. Did you forget the love letters I wrote you? Did you like me back then? I can keep writing them now, if you're willing to forgive me. I was dead set on not getting entangled with him any further. I called security to throw him out. Don't come looking for us again. We won't forgive you. I knew that no matter how heartfelt Jackson's tears looked today, it was nothing more than a ploy to exploit Alice and my sympathy. He's a natural-born actor. He could portray his love for me and Alice over 8 years, and this time is no different. Unfortunately, I'm stubborn and won't look back. Jackson never came back, and his lover showed up again. What a perfect match. Crystal somehow found out where my daughter's school was. When the teacher called me over, I was frantic with worry. I feared this woman might do something to Alice. But when I rushed there, I saw Crystal kneeling on the ground, desperately pleading with my daughter. Alice, you're his big sister, you have to save him. Auntie doesn't have the money to give birth to him right now. Isn't your mom pretty well off? And you've got plenty of pocket money, right? Lend Auntie some. Your little brother will definitely pay you back when he grows up. At a glance, I knew Crystal had been struggling terribly since Jackson abandoned her. Her body, which should have been full and healthy with a child, had wasted away to nothing. Her daughter shook off Crystal's hand. Auntie, you shouldn't be begging me, you should be begging my brother's father. Crystal laughed bitterly. How could I beg him? He won't see me, and he doesn't want this child. I followed him for 8 years, but he just cut me off without a word, not a single penny. Even the things he bought me before were all fakes, not worth a dime. He said he loved me, that he wanted a son, none of it was true. Sis, I'm begging you, have mercy on your little brother. Just lend me some money. Crystal nearly collapsed in tears, clutching her daughter tightly. I couldn't stand by and watch, so I snatched my daughter from her arms. Crystal, what right do you have to beg my daughter? You're the one who took her father away and destroyed her happy family. You knew full well Jackson had a wife and daughter, yet you barged in without a second thought. You brought this on yourself, don't blame anyone else. As for this child, what do you mean you can't afford to have one? You're just trying to exploit Alice's sympathy to get money from her. Crystal burst into tears, kneeling on the ground and kowtowing to us. I was wrong, truly wrong. I just wanted some money, so I took a shortcut. I shook my head coldly and left with my daughter. On the way home, I asked Alice, "Do you feel sorry for her?" My daughter looked up, pausing mid-bite. I did, a little. But it didn't last. She did something wrong, didn't she? This is her punishment. I just hope that little brother becomes an angel in his next life and doesn't choose a mom like this one. I pinched her cheek. So Alice, do you still want to be mom's daughter in your next life? She nodded vigorously in my arms. Of course. Mom is super awesome. I stroked her hair and smiled gently. She quickly rose from my arms and whispered softly in my ear, "If Mom wants to find me a dad, could she consider that handsome guy?" I was surprised she understood so much at such a young age. Just then, her phone rang. It was Dick calling. "Hi, handsome. Hey Alice, did you have a good day today?" "Super fun." "What about Mom?" My daughter glanced at me and replied, "She must have had a good day too." "Then how about you invite Mom out for dinner?" Meeting my daughter's hopeful gaze, I nodded. The little girl squealed with delight and made plans to meet her handsome brother at the restaurant. Dick arrived wearing a mask pulled down over his hat, carrying a huge bouquet of flowers which he handed to me. His face flushed slightly, a hint of shyness showing. "Congratulations on escaping the clutches of evil. By the way, I'd like to invite you and Alice to my concert." Seeing I didn't respond, he scratched his head and continued, "If you don't have time, it's fine, you don't have to come." I couldn't help but laugh and asked, "Do you have my true love?" Dick froze, taking a long moment to find his voice. "Yes." Then he chuckled, and his daughter, not quite understanding, laughed along. "Great! Let's go to the concert."